the course page, and on the course page, we are in this third day, this section, and I'm going to go into this Python packages topic. So installing Python packages is okay. So we talked about easy build now. So there are some Python packages, or like I would say like set of packages like SciPy or Pandas. They come as easy build as well. But if it is a single Python package that you use pip or conda to install, you could do that as well. So this is more convenient to do this way than going through like a full-fledged easy build installation in this case. As I briefly mentioned in the morning, what we are not going to show is not a tutorial, but we are going to walk through our documentation, so you know where to find things. The reason we are going through is so it will be more familiar when you land here next time. So the first part I will take with virtual environments and pip, and then the second part Jørn will come up with conda. So I'm on Saga now. By the way, the first part of the things I'm going to do on the screen, and don't type with me. The thing is, I'm going to make a case for this. Like I'm going to show the advantage of the methods we are talking. These documentations are written, and we are suggesting a method, not because we like that. So this could avoid many pitfalls. So I'm going to sort of on the first half of the introduction, I'm going to do something that might cause issues in your system. So don't try to type. So just watch. So if my system breaks, we'll fix it later. So when it's okay to type, I'll let you know. So again, don't do the things that I'm going to do now, the motivation part. So I'm on Saga. Let's clear the screen a little bit so I have some more space. Let's say I want this version of yes, Pandas. So Pandas is our package of interest. I need Pandas. I'm going to use make sure I'm going to use some like sysadmin sort of commands to see whether Panda is available, but you could also do it as users, but don't do it now. These don't need any privileges. Before that, I'm going to ask which Python and which Python 3. And in order to have these installations less troublesome, you should make sure that there's no modules loaded when you start. Like if you have some modules loaded when your system starts up, this might get confusing. So you have your Python, and let's see, I have whether I have Pandas installed. So I'm asking to import without going to the Python prompt. I'm asking Pandas as pd and print the pd dot version. Right. So I'm going to ask is to print. So no Pandas installed. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this module, which is Python with the GCC core, and wait until it's loaded. And I'm going to check again with there's no Panda there either. So I want Panda. So how do I get Panda on this my environment? So that is the topic of this documentation, and there's a way to there are several ways to do it. So I'm going to do the wrong way first, right? So don't follow me. So you have your Panda in.
Why did you now use a module? I mean, there was already Python available. Why did you load?
So the Python one thing is that the Python version I have here is too old. So I wanted a later version, and it's if I did that before, it would have printed something differently. So if I module purge, so remove the modules loaded. So I didn't want this version. So I want a specific version, which is good, which is that I need the latest, and also the reproducibility. So the system Python, this one will change without any notice, and you should not rely on it to install or do any analysis. You should always use a specific version loaded when you install things or when you load things, or use them in your analysis. So I have this Python pandas package here, and I go there, and it says, okay, pip install pandas. And again, don't do this. I install. So because I didn't use any arguments, it will try to first install it on the system-wide space, and it will see that I don't have any permission. Then it will automatically figure out that I should install on my home directory. But if I used something, I'll show the command a little later. So if you see here, normal site not writable. So this, it's good because that if you install it, then everybody else will get affected. So it installed somewhere, and it also finds out that I need NumPy, and it installs. So after reading this, I go and check my software, and I see that, oh, it's 1.5, it's too new, it doesn't work. But what I needed was 1.4. Okay, then what I go do is I go to release history, and I see, okay, I need 1.40. Then let's load that again and see the version. So it's installed now, but it's 1.5. But I wanted 1.4. Then I go here and, oh, I forgot to do this. 1.4.0, and I'll use the user. So it will figure out easily. It's faster than before. It will not go for places where I don't have. Okay, the user comes after install. So it will not try to write to somewhere I don't have permission first. So it will go here. It will go, and then if you look closely, it uninstalls 1.5. When it uninstalls on 1.5, it will corrupt other dependencies as well. So now it's 1.5 is being uninstalled, and then I have 1.4. So when you do that, it might have broken so many software that I have been using depending on those versions. Now it's gone, because that if I don't read it carefully, I don't see that it's actually removed something before installing. So this documentation is after we have made this procedure. So this sort of mishaps will not happen. So instead of me doing this installation directly following what Pandas says, I'm going to use this procedure now and see whether it would make any difference. So I'm going to do this on my so this is on my home folder. It's going to install. But as we were talking about these project folders, I'm going to go to the project folders. So it's better that I don't fill up my home. So I'm going to have my own folder there. I created one here. And I'm going to do, so by the way, the module is still loaded. Module list. So the Python module is loaded. Then I'm going to do Python. Then I am going to ask Python to use the module, like consider the rest of the command as module installations. Then when, and then I'm going to say pandas 1.4. So here I didn't follow exactly. I didn't copy paste here, because this documentation, as I said, I want to walk through the documentation as well. This is not meant to be copy pasted. it meant to be adapted to your need. So here I'm going to do that. So it will create.
What does this? So pandas underscore 1.4. Does it mean that it installs now pandas 1.4?
No, it doesn't have any panda at all. So it's going to create me an environment, an encapsulated environment that I could activate and deactivate at my will. So then I can install pandas in that.
Oh, so it's just a name.
It's just a name for a folder. If I go here, but it has some basic pip and some other basic Python things that are needed to work it as an environment. Then I had to use the command source, pandas, then bin, activate. So this might not be so obvious how to do that. So that's why it's written here. So you activate it. And then if I ask which Python, so it should load the Python from that environment that I loaded. And if I ask which pip, it should load the pip that's inside that environment. So now I'm not working with this global environment, but a local niche that I created for myself. Then here I will install pandas 1.4. I'll go use my up arrow key to get the command. Before that, maybe I can show you what will be loaded now. So no modules loaded. So I will use the up arrow key to get my earlier pip install command. So I will use the exact thing and I will do it. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this would have created issues. So this, when you're using the local environment, no user. So you should just use the install and without the user command. Now from this point, it's safer for you to type with me if you wish to.
So where will it be installed now if you do that?
It will install inside this place that I created, because now I've activated.
In this case, it's actually in your project folder.
It's in my project folder, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So here now I have my this type with me command. Now the things I'm going to do are sort of safe and undoable.
Can you tell me like what is in virtual environment? You mentioned that, but what does it mean now?
So it means a set of Python related libraries and other Python machinery needed in order to work it as if it's a Python installation, but without affecting the global installation. So it's sort of a local confined space.
So all the packages I install will end up in this folder which you created by Python -venv, and then the name.
As long as it's activated like this. As long as it's activated like this.
So it's always important to activate it before you actually use it.
Correct.
Do I also have to load the Python module every time, or can I just like jump into the directory and then activate it with source? Or do I have to also do the module load before every time?
It's a very important question. You should always load the Python module as well.
So if I have a job script, I would use a module load and always the same Python version, I assume.
Then the Python version you use to create the environment should always be loaded.
Yeah.
Right. Then I will ask one more thing from Python. So these are not module commands, but Python commands. Print pd file. This should print where the Python that installation where it is placed. So you would see that it's in my project folder under lib site. So this is not in some local my home directory, or it's not in my what do you call the project, the central installation or my home directory. So this way you could have it. Okay, now I'm going to do, to get out of it, I have mentioned the command later on, deactivate. So I deactivate it to come out of it, and I'm going to create another one for 1.5. I'm not going to, okay, let's say 1.5.0.
This is pip install now.
Yes, but so I want to do that. But before that, what should I do?
If you want to create a new, like, let's say you want to use two pandas versions, like alternating, you should create a new virtual environment.
Correct.
And this command you do now, you only have to do this once. The other commands, the module load Python and then deactivates with source, fine, like activate, that's how you have to do every time you want to use it. Like Python or something. But this like minus -m you only have to do once, if I understood correctly.
Yes, so the created and activated. So now I'm going to install. Now what will happen, Jørn, if I do this? I created the environment here. So I have the folder here. Now if I do this command, what will happen? Without the user.
It will install pandas again, but this time with 1.5. And
yes, where would it install?
Oh, in the pandas 1.5 folder. So it should not override or like deinstall and reinstall the pandas 1.4 we had earlier, I hope.
Okay, I see that you're not paying enough attention. I did not activate it, you see. If I don't activate it, yes. So you are always activated.
So what would happen if you do it now? We get the same error as earlier, that it's not writable, I guess.
Writable and it will install in your home area.
Okay.
Right? No. Right. It's okay. So you have to make sure that I don't now the people are allowed to type with me. So you have to make sure that I don't completely mess up their systems. Right? So you have this now. You see this the prefix here. Now it's okay to install it. So earlier when I typed the command, I used the hash in front, so that command will not be executed. So I can stop the execution. Now it will execute. It will also install certain other packages as well. But earlier, if you remember, there was the pip. It said pip was older, so you could also upgrade pip here if you want. You could do whatever you want inside this environment that you have created. So our colleagues, is there this Python? When is there another way to mention this? What it is? I was using words like encapsulator, a local environment, or like the set of Python machinery. Is there any other word or a term that you could use to explain it easily? Please mention that in HackMD or on the mic. So then I'm going to load it again. You should load 1.5. Oops, with yes, correct, with the correct directory, and I can activate and deactivate at will. So deactivate. Then I will activate 1.4 here. Then I use the.
I just saw like every time you do something, there's now like this parentheses in the start of your prompt, like at the beginning of the line, it says pandas 1.4.
Good observation, Jørn. So that is one way to figure out that you're inside a Venn virtual environment. But the best way to find out before you installing things is to ask which pip is being used. So it should be the pip that's inside your virtual environment that should be used. So this is a better test to see that actually the environment is activated.
What?
Yeah.
If I have now, like, let's say I have 20 different projects, should I do a virtual environment for each of them, even if they more or less contain the same software, or how would you do that?
So if you have same software, you would use all the same set of dependencies. You can use the same environment. But if you have conflicting dependencies, you should use different environments with different folders. So in order to activate or deactivate it, you could close this connection. You could exit from Saga and come back again. then that environment will not be there. Maybe I can show that as well. So
I think that would be good to show, because like it's still.
So I have a Python pandas 1.4 here. I go out of Saga. I come back to Saga. Sorry, I was a little fast there. What I did was I get out of Saga and I came back to SSH. I'm in Saga now. And then if I do that previous command, there's no module there with pandas. And then I would.
But can you? Yeah, sorry. Just like where are the folders now? So
correct.
Where are our?
That's a good question. So where are the pandas? So if I do here source activate, it will not work because there's no directory, because I installed it on. So it's better to use the full path. Trust projects and then 998. So this was where I installed it. So in the job script, use the full path, so it's easier. You don't have to locate where it is. Then you can ask to load, and I get a lib python 3.8 SO error. Do you know why this is? Yeah.
I have a. Can you show us if you just write? Oh no, that probably isn't very good. So it can't find like this 3.8 Python like base libraries. So I guess you forgot to load the real Python version, and you're using the system Python now, correct, which is older than 3.8.
Correct. So good observation. So the reason I log out of Saga is to clear the environment.
Can you show module what you have loaded currently?
Yes. Good point. Module list, nothing. I will take this. I was a little fast typing, sorry. So I did module list here. There's nothing loaded. Then I will load this module load, and I will issue the same command again, and it should find this executable that is needed for this Python. So environment, go with the environment. So there are 2 or 3 things that you should make sure you know: the path you installed and the module you need to load.
So should I put this in my bash RC? So there's always.
Yeah. So because this will be activated only when you want it. So you don't want it activated all the time. So in a job script, so I told you two methods to get like deactivate is. One is to get out and log in again, or to use the command deactivate. I showed you before that. And the other thing is, on a job script, you don't have to deactivate. You don't have to worry about it. When the job ends, it gets deactivated. So let's see how Jørn, how we use it in a job script. So this is how you sort of make sure that you remember things. So yeah, you can load the module, and here activating the environment. So we'll I had to modify this documentation a little bit after the course. Use the full path like this, so it will get activated regardless of where you are located at the moment. And then you will run your Python, and this step is optional. You don't have to do it. So this is for the newer versions. There's no need. Loading the module and activating it before you actually use it is needed. So if you run this one, it will probably complain you don't have the libraries. If you do this one, it will activate, but it will complain about the missing SO file. If you load the module, source it, and then run the Python module, it will work.
That it complained also shows basically this virtual environment we created doesn't contain like all of Python. It only contains what you install into it. So only the changes basically to the Python, base Python version you loaded. You always have to do both steps.
Yes, so it relies on the parts, some parts in the machinery of the there were some parts in the module that was loaded. That's a good point. Then let's say then now here I'm in this folder. Let's see the I'll change to that project folder, cluster projects, and then 99884. The folder I created for myself. Oops. 84, sorry. Then I have this folder. Let's say if I want to, so we are collaborating on a paper, let's say, and I want to have both of us the same set of packages installed in same environment, and I want to share this with you. One thing you could do is, as this is in the project folder, I could share, like we could be in the same project and we could share this environment if that is feasible. But let's say if your collaborator somewhere else, you could use this command, Python pip freeze, the command that we have mentioned here, to list all the dependencies and their versions installed. And it will print on my terminal the installations I did. But in this one, I only did Panda. So it's obvious that, I have to give only the Panda here. But what happened is it also lists everything that's the module and everything that is needed in order to Panda to work. So not just the thing I installed. But in this case, it also mentions and it also lists all the packages that are part of the modules. So if you share this one, so if you share this file as a file, I could output it to a file, it wouldn't make sense to a colleague in America or like somewhere else. So what you could do is you could ask you could mention the need for Python 3.86, and then freeze only your local files needed. So then it will be more specific for your installation. And let me make it a little smaller, and it will tell you the things. Actually, it's printing too many things. Did I type it wrongly? Yeah, let's see.
No. I mean, you can just
okay. Module, please. So this should actually print the. Let me ask. It's a good debug. Let's ask which Python. It's using the bin Python here. Do you know what has happened here? Yeah. So this is actually a very good thing that we could show now, because this
I don't see what you did before, so I'm not sure now. But you don't use the Python version, which is in your virtual environment folder, which what we always saw first. So something went wrong with the sourcing, it seems, even though the prompt is set in the beginning of the line.
Yes. So this is why I told you it's better not to trust the prompt. No. The reason for this error, is because the order of things I did. I log into Saga. I activated the Python environment.
That's true.
And then I found out the SO is missing, and then I loaded the module. So here, so that's why I sort of warned you. Just copy pasting would not work without you sort of understand what you are going to do. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it on another terminal. So it will be more, we could compare that again to what happened there again. SSH saga.sigma2.no. And I will, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow more of the instructions than like trial and error to see whether I'm going
because,
to
like, what happened was that what these module load commands do is they replace, or like they append and prepend to the parse environment variable. And in this case, it went in the wrong order, so it picked up the wrong Python first, I guess.
Yes. So it unset. So when you load the module, that virtual environment activated got unset. So the order is also important. So then I will activate it. Then I'll ask which Python. Right. Then I'll ask it Python as a module pip freeze local. Before I enter, let me check the command here. Is it same as what I typed? Pip freeze local. So now what you would get, Python pip without the dashes. Now you get these things that you need to tell your colleague. So this one you could write it to a file with this angle bracket. Usually it's called requirement.txt. So that's how it is named. I'm going to name it slightly differently. So just to show the point that the file name is not that like it's not a requirement, but it is very important. But if somebody says requirement text, they know that is a set of Python requirements, but it doesn't have to be the same name. The reason is if you have multiple environments and if you're exporting with the same name, it might get it might conflict with, and it's hard to find. Then you would export it. Then I will do a slight editing on this file. Yeah, you know why?
Oh.
Yeah. So I need some additional information. This file doesn't contain much things. So I would say, sorry, with the hash. So it will be a yeah. It was Sabry created on 03/11/2022, and the module. And using this module. So I would have that information alongside using.
So why would you share an environment?
So my colleague could have the same set of libraries, so it's easier for us to work. So if I had to share it.
Also, I mean, sometimes changes in a package change the results, or change how the input works, or like the commands work. So it's always good to be on the same.
Yes, true. And also this colleague could be yourself as well. Let's say you have your laptop home, and you want to develop something and you want to take it to Saga, and you could do it. So I have used this one, and then I would deactivate the command, and I will find out where my benv command is. So I could create another environment with the same set of commands.
Sorry.
I would say new. So here, after you activate that source, as we did, new bin activate. Now you don't have. Let me check get that command again, so I don't have to type it again. With the up arrow key, I'll use the reverse search. Then there's no, oops. Again, no module name pandas. And then what I'm going to do is here in this, you have the requirement. You can install it with the requirement file. It is you have to have a -r. Let me show that first. Then you would go here, freeze, and which Python to make sure that your Python is correct. Yeah, it's show you the relative path of that. So then you can say Python m with pip install, but this time with that. Okay, let me check where the file is. ls. Oops, I had to go to the project folder first, and then I could use this file to install the requirements, and you'll get the same environment back. Now I have created this in the wrong place, so I'm not going to activate it now. So I should have, before I do this, I should have gone to last projects and then 9984. Yeah, then I would find the file. So I'll maybe do it again. Maybe you can prepare for the next part, Jørn, until I do this again. The thing I did wrong was I installed it on my home area instead of the project, so it was difficult for me to find it. So when you're on a job script, so again, one thing you should know is that you should load the module and then activate it before using it. Yeah, Jørn, you could continue the lesson with the Conda.
So now we will do something similar in some cases, this Conda, and like you can also install software with Conda, and it has advantages and disadvantages. So we are again here back on the page, software, installing software as a user, and then installing Python packages. And then here's also Anaconda, Miniconda, and Conda. That's like what we will talk about now. Conda is a package manager. It was originally written for Python, but nowadays you can also install all kinds of R packages, Perl, I think, and like especially a lot of bioinformatics stuff, if you set it up like with it. And it works a bit differently than pip, but you can also create like independent environments where you can install software and it doesn't interfere with either the system or other environments you have. So maybe for one project, you work in a certain configuration, like you have a certain Python package like pandas 1.5 installed, and then in a year or something you want a new one. But instead of updating, you create a new one so that you have an independent. And if you ever have to do something on the old project, you can use your old packages and you not suddenly have like changes. So that's what Conda does. Conda does something similar. And Conda is actually, I think on Saga, it's not directly because I'm connected to, you can check that. I'm connected to Saga. And let's see what ML is module list. I want to load a Conda version. There's different ones now, and this is already a bit like confusing. In the end, it doesn't really matter which one you take, but I would go for the newest one in this case with Anaconda 3, 22.5. But it doesn't matter that much if you use Conda and a Miniconda. They are quite similar. One comes with more packages pre-installed, but this is not important for what we do now. So now we have the command Conda available. You can check that. Just like should give me a head text. If it can slow. And Conda is similar to pip in the sense that you can use Conda install and you can create also environments with Conda create. We will do that. But first you have to set it up. Here you see here there's like Conda subcommands, install, build, create, and so on. But first we want to add some channels. And maybe also conda init bash. This stuff is now the setup. You only have to do this once. That conda init bash makes it like, otherwise some commands don't really work. So you have to do this once. Is it possible that the file system is a bit okay? In this case, I think I already have the changes to my home basher. See, it's already added, so it didn't change. But if you haven't done this, like never done this, it will say that it changed something here. And then you can add some channels, because channels is where conda looks for the software you want to install, be it Python packages or be it bioinformatics or R packages or whatever. So we have to add that with conda config, add channels. There's defaults. It will create a new file called conda rc. Okay. So then we add conda forge, which just adds more packages. And something, if you work in bioinformatics, which is good to add, is conda add channels bioconda. So let's do that as well. And then we can actually look what happened, conda rc. And then you see there's now 3 channels, bioconda, conda forge, and defaults. It always adds to the top, and it looks from the top. So that's like this. Okay. You can also suppress some warnings. You don't have to do this now. Okay. So now conda is set up, and now we can install stuff. And we can create, conda basically always works with these environments, also virtual environments. And we create them with conda. Oops, conda create. And then we can give this environment either a name or a file path with either -n or -- name or -- prefix or just -path, which I use. And I would also advise you use the path instead of a name, because otherwise it will end up in your home directory. And especially conda is really great at installing lots and lots and lots of files. And you might get disk exceed quota errors. Yeah, and then nothing works any longer until you basically delete the conda folder. I can show you this. I will try to force this error now because we don't have that much time. But you see here, if this do such, you can see in my cluster home, I have 6.7 gigabytes of 20 used. That's no problem, but I have 80,000 files already out of 100,000 files I can have. And if I would now create an environment with -- name, it will end up in my home, and then it will fill it up quite fast. Yeah, and then you get errors, and you can't do anything until you delete this .conda folder, which I think should be there. Yeah. No, currently there's not much there, but so this is one of the ways. If you ever get this error, it's described in the documentation here at the end. I think here you get this disk quota exceeded error message. Then do conda clean. If you have used conda before, this is often the problem why you get this quota. Check it with usage, and then delete, use conda clean to delete false. You would get a lot of error messages because it tries to clean stuff which you don't have access to, but you can just ignore them. You can't break something on the system. Okay. So, but now we talked a lot, so let's create a new, and I will use the prefix or path, and I will put it onto cluster and projects. Okay, and then I will call it bio in this case, because we can also call it pandas.
So Jørn, you are using your own other project, not the training project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can also.
Yes.
What was it? 8.4?
9. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can also do that. So now I tell conda to create a new environment under this path. And that's also how you load it in the end. And something I would advise you now, you can add software packages. You can also specify which Python, but if you don't specify, it's usually Python 3, so this would be okay. And you can add now all the software you already know that you want to install, for example, pandas. I could use that, and then it will create a new environment with pandas already being installed in there. And that often helps to like specify everything you know already when you create it. If you can always later add software, but sometimes it takes a bit because it has to like solve all these dependencies. Okay, what I will do now is I create a bio and cut adapt and bed tools are two softwares we already have installed on this cluster with the module system, but they're like slightly outdated. And there's no new easy config. I wanted to show you that, but you can find those two, but there's no up-to-date easy config. So you can use Conda to get like newer versions, because the versions which are available with Conda are a bit newer. So let's say I want to install these two in my new environment, and then hopefully it doesn't take too long.
So Jørn, is Conda only for Python, or is it for other packages?
No. So in this case, for example, like I could have also added, for example, pandas that would have been a Python packages, but cut adapt and bed tools are more general bioinformatics software. I actually don't know. They might be Python based, but they don't have to. You can with Conda install a lot of stuff which is not Python at all, especially bioinformatics software if you add this BioConda repository. And it will come with everything. Yeah. Okay. This warning that the new version, you can just ignore that. At some point we will update at a new Conda environment or like module, and then we will go. So in case you like something I would advise, if you want to install software, use easy config. If you find the version you want and the software you want, use easy build and the easy configs. If it's not, try Conda. So in this case, it will now install all the software. Like you saw, it contains a Python version 3.10, so an up-to-date one. You can also specify that if you want to have a different one, but it will also like download all these files now and install them. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Here, now it's installed bed tools 2.30, which is newer than anything you can get with easy build. So this is one way of getting like up-to-date bioinformatics software, but it's outside of the module system, so you have to activate it a bit differently, and Conda environments tend to get a bit bloaty and large. So module, I would advise to use easy build if possible, but if it's not possible because not up to date, use Conda or try Conda and see if it's available. Okay, so now it will download all these and then it will install them. Yeah. Okay, it's actually quite okay fast. Because I don't want to. Okay, and is all of what I did now with Conda create, you only have to do once, or every time you want to create a new environment. But if you now in the future just want to use it, use your software, what you probably do most of the time, you don't have to do that again. This is a one-time thing. Now everything is installed, and now we can activate it, similar to what we just did in pip. We also have to activate it. The command is slightly different. Instead of source, you use Conda activate and then the path to your environment. Yeah, and because Conda has to be available, if you use it in a job script, you also have to load the the Conda version you did before. Actually, I think in this case, it's probably not as important to have the exactly same, but it would still advise you to just use the same always. It minimizes the chances of stuff going wrong. Oh, should have used a slightly smaller, but I wanted to make it a bit realistic. Okay, you see now it verified. This is also checksummed that everything went okay. Now installed it, and now it's done. And now we can activate it. And you see here, this is just a file path, or the path to the folder. And if I do that, oh, so I did this. Sabry, can you help me?
So you have to source the so in the material you will find a place where you, so we have a setup script that will set the So it's in the job script. Yes, you are passing. Yeah. So you have to do that in order to set up your terminal. Yes.
Yeah. Oops.
That's for Miniconda. So did you use Anaconda here?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we have to adapt this to make it more clear that you have to do this step as well. You also have to do this in your job scripts. You see here, like in this case, either like Anaconda or Miniconda, and then you can conda activate. This should work now. That looks good. Okay, now you also get like a change in prompt. It's a bit longer now in this case because it contains a full pass. And now I can, for example, I can just use a Python. And you see it's also similar to what we did before. It's now the Python which is placed inside this folder. And this version, I can also actually see which Python version. In this case, for example, is a Python 3.10. So if you sometimes need the latest Python version, Conda also can help you there to get that. Yeah, and now I can just I have a cut adapt. Cut adapt is, for example, also now available if you're interested in this bioinformatics stuff. 4.1. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned, I'm not sure how much time-wise we have, because you can basically. Yeah.
I think we are reaching a break now.
Yeah. Okay. Then I just mentioned it. You can find the information here. You can also share your environment, similar to what we did with pip. If you install in your project, other team members can also use your environment by just like doing the same steps as you do. Source the script and then activate. And you can also like basically create a requirements file. Here's a package list, but it like stores everything you did, which is good for the future. It's a small file. It's easy to archive that, but then you know what you did at that point. I wanted to say, if you now, so one more thing I wanted to like mention is if you now realize, oh, you forgot to install something, you don't have to create a new one. You can use conda install and then, for example, add pandas. And if you do this conda install and you are inside, like you activated your environment, then you can write it just like this. Otherwise, or to be on the safe side, you can use -p and then give again the full path name or name, but like best is this path. And then it will, in this case, it will check which pandas version is available and install the newest one, which works. So you can always do that, but I would advise you, if you create a new one, you already know what you want to install, do it with the conda create and then just like specify everything. Sometimes it makes it a lot faster. Yeah, so here in this case, you see now, it will want to install like all these new files so that pandas is available. Yeah. I'll do this now. Okay.
So if you can show the job script one more time, just to how it is done, and there's a slight difference between when I use the pip in job script and this job script.
Yeah.
So first we'll in that it's very important that you do that source step after
actually
loading.
There's an error in this one. I just realized here we load Anaconda, but here currently the commented line is conda. This one is Miniconda. We have to change that. You have to source this step, and you have to like add this to the other parts as well.
Yes, and then this so it activates. So in the second step between the source and the activation, you have the deactivation step. That is to clear up anything that you have already activated in the bash script. So you could also deactivate it and activate it. And if you can, if you notice like very closely, I don't use the set error in the job script. If you can slowly scroll up to the venv job script.
I noticed. Here.
Yes, here I say the set -o no unset. So that's a script, when you have that, Slurm will check whether there are any variables that are not set values for. So Conda, if you use that with Conda, the job script will most of the time will fail, saying there are unset variables, because that's how the Conda sets things. So the error on exit you can use it, but no unset variable you can't use with the job script that uses Conda. So if you see if you error in your job when you submit, if it says there are unset variables, the reason is that you are doing a very thorough check.
Yeah. Can you also explain what this is? I'm not sure if everyone knows it, and it's quite good to have.
Yeah, so that one is to tell the job script, when you see an error for the first time, cancel the job and come out of it. Do not go to the next step. So this could also save resources and time. If you don't have that, when there are multiple things happening like a pipeline, Slurm will not stop in the first error it sees. So if it sees an error, it will continue the next step, and it might give some results, or maybe it fail later. So if you include that step, that informs Slurm, when you see a first error for the first time, just stop the job and come out of it.
Yeah, so this is mostly what you want, that if you get an error that you want to like quit the job to see what's happening and not continue hanging in some software or something. So this is good to have. And this is also usually good to have, but with Conda doesn't work. Okay, someone asked, like, Mamba and Conda are like connected to each other. Mamba is a bit faster often, and sometimes can solve, if you like want to install a lot of packages at the same time, sometimes Conda has problems with that. It takes like forever to figure out which versions of what to install. The thing is, we don't have Mamba installed currently. You can install it yourself, or do we?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, finish. Sorry.
Okay, so I guess at least we don't have.
So Mamba is, I would call it, is more of a it's a misconception that it's faster. So if you're the reason that Conda is slow, there could be several reasons. One is your channel order. So you have to make sure that you don't have channels that have like you don't have more channels than needed to search with. The other thing is your Conda cache. So when you keep on building Conda packages and installing things, with time it gets filled up. So you have to clean that one. And the other thing is conflicting dependencies. So you should let Conda resolve the correct versions if possible. If you're forcing it, it might take time. So my experience is, if you have these sort of issues, it doesn't matter whether you Conda or Anaconda or Mamba or anything. It's just your housekeeping. If you have the housekeeping properly set, it will go faster. The other thing is, you should not use the base environment as the basis. So you should always use this activate thing that Jørn showed and work inside that environment. But the normal practice, just use the basic the module as the dependencies in the module, and install it the normal way you use Conda in a laptop, for example. You just say Conda install something, or Conda give a name for the environment. That would slow up things. So if you follow these steps, there's no need of Mamba.
Okay, I have a slightly different, like I had many problems sometimes with like certain combinations where Conda couldn't find a solution, Mamba could find a solution. Like with Conda it took 2 hours and it couldn't, and with Mamba it was like 2 minutes, and I had working dependencies. So I have good experiences with Mamba, and I usually use it instead. It's basically a drop-in replacement. You can use Mamba instead of Conda, but it's not currently installed. If you really want to use it, you can make, what I have is I created a Conda environment which just contains Mamba. So Conda and file name, and then I just install Mamba and I load that to solve these problems. So they have Mamba available. But this is a bit like convoluted. So in most cases, Conda works fine. So I would say.
Yeah. Thank you, Jørn and Sabry. Shall we take a 10 minutes break and come back at 10 past 11? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk something slightly different. So we are still in the third day schedule. I'm going to talk about, let's close this a little bit. First, about R. So like Python, it's not for everybody, for people who use R. We have this documentation which says how to install packages. So I will go through this documentation and talk a little bit about what is the recommended way for you to use and install things on our clusters. Let me arrange the screen a little bit. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, so my Firefox session got a little stuck, so until that it unfreezes, I'm going to sort of improvise a little bit. First thing is the R modules. So we have the R modules installed. So if I ask which, let me clear this up first so I could have some more space. Which there's no R installed, so there's no R. So you need, like, not like Python, you must load a module in order to get the R working. So to find the modules, you could ask the module system using a command called spider, or if you are using the command module avail, that's also okay. You could use any of these commands to find out. But if you're using the module, I'm going to use the module avail because that's the more commonly used one in our course throughout. So I'm going to ask, what are the R4 versions that I have? So when I press this, when I type this and enter, it gives me all the modules that has the capital R in their name. So if I use the command like module spider, it will be more specific. That's why when it comes to a single letter, like a module like this, it's better to use module spider because it gives the better sort of refined set of results. So once you find out, I'm going to use the module avail here. So here, while you after you find out the package, the module R version you have to use, then you might need to, let me check my yeah, now it is unfrozen. I'm back. Oh, it's frozen again. Okay. Then you might need a package that that's not already there. Well, let's see what kind of package is there. I'm asking module list. So no modules loaded. So then I'm going to ask R, what are the to load a R module. Let's see which module we use in the tutorial. So in the tutorial, okay, I'm going to improvise a little bit. So I'm going to use the module, let's say, yeah, 40 with the FOSS, maybe something very common. Yeah, I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to use that module. It loads. Then if I ask which R, so we have the R. So then I'm going inside the R prompt. So as I said, this is mainly for the people who use R or the potential to use R in the future. So then when you load it, okay, I think my Firefox is back. So when you load this, so the example here that we have shown is it's called like it's for a package called XYZ. So it's just a placeholder for a package. So I'm going to ask whether we have a package called abacus. Okay, there's no package called abacus. Let's say abacus like this, then it will say no, there's no package. So if we find out something like this, maybe there's a package called abacus, maybe there's not, but if there is one, and if you want to have it, then how do we install it? So that is this tutorial about. So, okay, my Firefox is back. So the installation, so if you go and install now, let's say if we install install.packages, and if you go for the package XYZ or like abacus, so I install it, then what will happen is R will try to install it in the default path. To check the path, we have given this command here. Dot. It starts with a full stop, a dot, and paths. And it will show you the central repository. So I'm not going to try to install now because I'm a little worried it might get because I might have permission to this location. So not normally people users do not have permission, and they should not try to install this to this location because it might conflict with other users. So how do we use something like the conda or the pip env method that we use in order to manage our packages? That is this lesson is about. Then I'm going to come out of it. I'll just save the workspace, and then I will go to my project folder again. Projects NN9984, and the folder I created for myself. And inside that, I'm going to create a folder called R, so it will be easier for me to go find it back. And I'm here. So I want my packages installed here. So there are several advantages of installing in a package. So we'll have a short discussion while the package installation is going on. So let's see how to do that first. So you do load R, and you have to tell R that install to that location. For that, we use the same lib paths command and give it a new path with the correct priority. So what first one we do is we tell lib paths use this location as the first priority, and then use the default lib path. Okay, let me cross check with this.
There's a dot missing.
Thank you. Yeah. Is there any brackets missing as well? Yes. No. Yeah. One more closing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you could ignore that. You could just say, just install it here. Then what will happen is the R packages that comes by default and the packages that we have installed, you might be missing. So what we do is instead of telling R that use specify, we are going to append this path. So okay, I have another typing mistake here. Let's see what it is. It says unexpected.
Yeah, one too many, I think, because you
one,
open 1,
2, 3. Did I type it now correctly? Now let's see.
I think so.
Lib paths. I need an S here. Right?
Yeah.
Not again. So what did I do now? Unused paths again. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, see whether which error I'm doing here. I have the lib paths with I'm concatenating this.
No, it's one too many parentheses.
No, so this is the wrong one. So I shouldn't have a parenthesis here.
Yeah,
because this is a path that I'm giving here, and because I'm just working with now arrays now.
Oh.
So if you do that, so if you see an error, just see whether there's any typo. Then if I ask lib paths, now it will give me an order, like first install it on my directory. So then I will again ask to install this package. First, I'll check again library whether I have this abacus. If there's no package called abacus, we have to find something to install. Then I'm going to install it. Install dot. So these are R commands, not our system commands. So these are R related command. Packages, and I'm going to ask abacus, and I'm going to ask to install it from our Bergen R repo. The reason here that I'm telling this is that otherwise R will prompt me to select repo. So in scripts, it's better that you give this, so it will not ask for it. So here, if you look carefully, it installs here. So one reason for that we are specifying this is that, let's say after installing, if something goes wrong, then it's easier to delete this folder and install it back again. So, and also when you are requesting support, if your software is not working, you could inform us, in this location, I have this library. So if you ask R to install it in default locations, it will go and install it in your home directory. And it's as a system support team, it might be more convenient for us to go to a project directory than home directory one. So now it's installed this package, and I must tell you while it is installing, have you experienced, Jørn, that it's slower? Sometimes, like, I don't know, most of the time it might be slower on Saga or like any other system than installing it on your laptop. So I often see people say that, this cluster, you say it's like a supercomputer, but I can install things faster on my laptop. What is going on? So one thing that you should keep in mind is, if you have a Mac or a Windows, R would already have a compiled version which you'll just download. But in our system, most of the time, the source code will be downloaded and compilation will happen. So you have to make sure, you have to keep in mind, it's possible that you'll get more, it will take more time to install packages on our system, because there's a compilation step which will not happen on a Windows computer. So after this is loaded, I'll try to load it. And now the library is loaded. And then I could ask, I could just check. I'm not going to use that package. I don't know how to use it. So I'm going to ask, what are the packages loaded? Now this package is loaded from this location. Now, Jørn, before I go to this job script, again, I'm going to do that previous in exercise. If you remember, I log out from Saga and just came back again and tried to use it, and it didn't work. Because I'm going to show it again, because that's the thing mostly happening, right? So because we install things, we don't immediately use it, or maybe we use it immediately, but we come back again, use it again. So that is the thing we should check. So here, I have I'll use the same R module which I used. Let's find that which one I used before. I have a slightly different.
You used 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I used which module did I use? Because now again, like the Python version, it is very important that we use the same.
A bit up.
Little bit up, little bit up.
Yeah, here, there you see it.
Yeah, 40, this one. Okay, module avail R 4.0 module load. This one, was it, Jørn?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was the A. What happens now if you use, for example, if you look, for example, for like another one, will the modules still be available or not? Or do you have to reinstall them every time you switch from R version?
Subversion, like, for something that works on 0.0 would also work on 0.3 most of the time, but it is highly recommended to reduce the number of variables that could go wrong. Use the same module. Then I will use R, and then I will ask I'll ask library the same. I'll use the copy the same thing, because then I could make the case that I did the same thing. What do you think, Jørn, will happen? Will it find it or not?
I guess not actually, yeah, because you didn't give it the path.
Yes. So then the next thing I would do is I'll go to that folder, project folder, cluster projects, and then 9984 Sabry and R. Here you will see the Abacus is installed. I'm going inside R. Sorry, I was a little fast. I went into the folder and checked the list, and then typed R to go into to access the R prompt. Then again, I'm going to do this one. Now what will happen? Yeah. No. The reason is you have to give lib. So the lib paths, lib
dot in the front.
Yes. Lib paths do not have that location. So here this lib path has that location. To avoid making the same mistake with the parentheses I did before, I'm going to copy this. Sorry about that heavy cheating. I'm going to use this one here, and then ask the lib path to make sure it is loaded, and then the package. So you could, when you install like this, not on a default location, you are always have to tell R. So this is very important in a job. Let's see how we use this in a job. In not like the, yes, go ahead. What's the question?
Just like what you showed now, is it similar to what we did before with VN for Conda? So are these like independent? So if I, for example, need like R version 4.0 and 4.04 or something, can I have them side by side, or how does it work?
So R.4 and 4.0, you could have the packages in same place. So it's okay. You don't have to have too many environments either. So it's a compromise that you have to make correct, amount. But if you have R3.5 and R3.4, or like I don't know, very different versions, you should not mix them.
And how would I do that? Someone on the command line, in the document said there's renv, or could I also just like have two different folders, like one for version 4 and one for version 3.5 installed? Basically, do it by hand. What would you recommend?
There's two parts to that question. When you have, even if you use the same folder, R is good at ordering it in a way, like even if you try to install with a different version, it might create a different folder and create it inside. But it's very important to keep it separate. So you would have Abacus here and Abacus _ 3.5, another folder. So keeping folders separate is the easiest to remove and like install, and also to debug. But there's a difference between Python environment and Conda and how you R is used. Because this R, the lib command, this is a R command, not a bash command.
Yeah.
So we don't use that in bash. So what we do is we create a R script. So everything that you need processing. So this is a R script. I'm going to steal that by copying it. So not necessarily string right now, just say copying it. And I'm in this folder. I'm going to create this test R script. So I name it R script. So I'm purposefully I'm going to misspell it. So it's easy. I could show another pitfall. Yeah, but you have to remind me that I misspelled it.
Okay.
Then I'm going to paste this. So this is a small calculation that I'm going to do. Here I'm also going to load the Abacus package. that we just installed, right?
And you also have to adjust this path.
Yes, and I'm going to remove this, comment this out. Right, I'm going to, so this is to show you, how the behavior is, so you can understand it better. Then you would go out of it, and the way you call R scripts is that you load your R module, and then you say R script. R. So this is not a lesson about R, so I'm not going to do like much detail about it. So it will not find the abacus package. So again, in your R script, what you do is the stealing I did before, because I can't concentrate on parentheses. I'm going to open the file. I'll make it a little bigger. I have to slow down my typing a little bit. And then I'm going to place this one here. And as you see here, I use the full path. And I'm going to run the command again. And it will do some small calculations and it will print. It's because it was very tiny calculation. It's okay to do that on the logging node. So now I have my script here. Right. So I have my script, the batch script, which is bash. Now not R. Now it is.
So now you want to do a real job with R, like with something which runs longer.
No, Jørn. So this is the R script is the R processing that we have to do. Now we are going to submit it as a batch script.
Exactly, but like now, assuming you want to have a real like R script running, this is how you would write the job script to load it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay.
Bim, and I'm going to place it like this. And okay, I see that my okay, let's go on. My batch script did not come properly, so I go out and come back again. I didn't copy the entire thing. So as the batch script need this shebang line on the top. Now I have my job script, and I'm going to slightly explain what's going on. You load you tell Slum, where to get how much memory you need, how do you get charged, and I'm going to change this to the course account, and then I'm going to call this R script and then write it down. So in this, when I'm doing that, I'll get this as well. You are supposed to warn something to me, but you didn't warn me, so I'm going to run it. So it's your fault if it goes wrong.
Okay.
All right. Yes. So as you can see, I'm redirecting the output and the errors to a file, and I'm going to run it. And I'll ask. So did you find out the error yet, Jørn, in my job script, which I kept here?
You forgot, like you didn't write, the script is not called test, but test.r script. Minus u. Or yeah. Or sq minus mine, sq dash me also works quite nicely.
Oh, that's a very good tip. I'll try that later. So you have your Slum script. So this is how you sort of, before you send like a ticket, you should check this out first. The Slum says setting module system defaults, everything good, task is good, and let's see what the exit code is. So if you look closely, the exit code, some of it, your exit code 2, that means something went wrong, but it doesn't say much about it. Then if I get the output file, there's no R, the output file, but I have an error file. There's nothing in that. Then if I get the output file, I'll find this. The reason is that error is a R error, not a slurm error. So it printed in the R output itself. Then I'm going to fix that. This, let's it's called R test script. So I'm going to change this one to this, and then right again. I will remove the earlier slum log. I don't want that now, and the rest to just to clear out some things. Then I will submit the job. This batch, okay, we are sort of short of time. Otherwise, I could have shown another pitfall. Yeah, let it run, and that is how you how do you install and use R libraries. The difference between the Python and the R library usage is that you set the path for R libraries inside a R script, not in the batch script. So if you do the .lib, that part in the job script will fail. So you have to be cautious about that. Yeah, so that's all I was going to talk about R packages. Before you install R packages, let's say if you have bioconductor packages especially, you should notice that we have a bioconductor module itself with a lot of bioinformatics bioconductor packages, so you don't have to install it yourself. So by loading that, you could avoid installing things. Like instead of loading R, you could load a bundle. So maybe you should check that first before going and installing.
Yeah, this is in general, before you install stuff, use module avail or module spider to look if there's already a package, because sometimes like SciPy or something, like some Python packages are also already bundled in modules, and then saves you space and time to like do the installation.
Yes. So that's also anything in the HackMD. Let's see, anything drastic. Okay, watch QB.
Would you like to take a break of 5 to 7 minutes, Sabry, before you start the next session?